ahead and record. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Lisa Bush, and today we're going to look at the new report designer. So right now, you should be looking at my desktop, and I do have everybody on mute, but if you do have questions, feel free to send me a chat message, or you do have the ability to take yourself off mute, and I will stay on at the end to answer questions as well. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's take a look at the report designer. Let's take a look at what we're going to cover today. First of all, the report designer is going to do a couple of key things for you. Most importantly is you're going to be able to create new reports with the asyst database. So you're going to be able to create new financial reports. We've got it set up now for utility billing, and we just announced it for tax billing. So you're going to be able to do reports. You're going to be able to create new files. We do ship the designer with some reports in it, so you can actually modify reports. But I think the key thing that you're going to use is to be able to create those reports that you've always wanted and haven't been able to. Now, a couple of key things here. Let me move this up here. We're going to give you access to all the data fields. So when we log in and say we want to create a report on payroll, we're going to be able to see all of those current fields that you see today in payroll that you can literally drag and drop to create a report or a file. So you're going to be able to see them. You're going to recognize these fields. So that's the key thing. And then this tool allows you to create lots of different reports. One feature that I really like is this new tool gives you the ability to add drill down in a report. We currently do drill down on our inquiries, but if you know right now our asyst reports, you can't push behind the number to see what makes up this number. So I've got an example where we've used this tool to create a report where you can drill down within the report. So that's something that I'm really excited about. Another key thing is the different permissions and security that you have set up today will follow through with the report designer. Especially with your payroll information. So if you've got staff that can create, let's say, financial reports, but they don't have access to payroll, they're not going to be able to get to that data. So we do lock it down based on the different areas that they have access to. Another thing that you can do with this tool is you can actually combine two reports and then create a new report. So if you want to get really fancy, we do have that capability. As I mentioned earlier, currently we've got it for financials, and that's going to cover within that financial tab like the general ledger, accounts payable, cash receipts, payroll, fixed assets, all those different modules you're going to be able to report on. In utility billing, we do more than just the base billing. I think service orders and meter management are also part of the report designer for utility billing. And then once again, for property tax billing. The license fee, the way that we currently license it is you would have a report designer for the financials. And US, that would be $295, Canada $495, but you only need one. Even though you've got multiple financial users, one will cover all those staff members that have the ability to use the financial software. Same thing with utility billing. It's got its own report designer for utilities and the same thing for tax. So it is broken down, but we've kind of reduced the price so that it is affordable and you only need one copy. Another thing that I think that you're going to want with this is the training. I haven't had any training, but I'll show you, I can kind of drag and drop fields, but the training allows you to do some of those more complex reports. And I think you'll also find if you want a really complicated report and if you don't want to do it, it's actually cheaper for us to do the report with this tool instead of us doing a custom report. So I think it'll be used for things like that as well. So I want to go ahead and pass on my contact information. So if you like what you see today and you want a quote or you have questions afterwards, feel free to reach out to me. And let's go ahead and let's get started and let's take a look at the report designer. One thing that you're going to notice is you're going to have a new button on your Assist splash screen. So if you haven't loaded the latest updates, you don't see that yet, but the report designer is built in with all those other products, so you're not having to go off to a completely different product. It's all on the same menu. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the software. So as I said, if I logged in, this would be the screen that I would see, and your report designer is right there. I've already got it open up. And when you do log into the report designer, you're going to have a menu of all of your different reports. Now, menu could be different than Mary's menu. So it's your reports. I want to cover a couple key things on the navigation. One is, if you notice, the reports are going to be grouped by product. So your payable reports, your AR reports, your cash control, utilities, payroll. So we're going to group it by that. You do have the ability to do favorites. So ones that you want, and they could cross different products. So you can actually take it as a favorite and it moves it to the top. So I like that, one reports that you're going to use every day, they're at the top of the screen. Now, let's say you've got a really long, you've been creating reports just all over the place and you can't remember or you don't want to find, you can actually do a search and you can get a quick list. Maybe you want to get all the reports that have the word vendor, so you can very quickly search that way as well. Now, if you notice, when you're on the report over here, you've got the detail. What's the name? You can describe it, what's included. So part of building the report is you can have a description of, what all's in that. Now, what I wanted to do first is show you a couple reports where we've used this tool to create these. So you can kind of get an idea of how complex the reports can be. And I'm going to go in and actually show you how you could create, something fairly simple. But I want to give you a feel for, what all you can do with this tool. The first one I want to show you is an example of a report that we added a drill down within the report so you can get a feel for what I'm talking about. So I'm going to preview it. And you would do the same if you had reports, you can preview reports. Now, one thing you can do is you can add filters in your report. We do a lot of this in our software, but you can do like from to, date range, so that you can filter out and only include what you want. So you can decide, well, what kind of filter would you want? In this example, we're going to be looking at an accounts payable report. And so here's an example where we created this report. Obviously, you're going to, give it a name. You can use different fonts. You may want to put your logo on the report. So you can really get fancy on the reports. Now, the first thing on this example is, if you notice this little icon right here, this is an example of a drill down. So if you add this feature to your reports, you're going to be able to see behind the scenes, in this example, what journal makes up that number. So like I said, I've always wanted that in reports. We do it on our inquiries. Now you can add it to your reports. Also, on any type of report that you create, you can create any type of file. And just so you know, it's different than when you drop our standard reports to Excel. There's formatting. No, this is an exact file so that you don't have to worry about the different formatting. So if you need, an Excel file or a CSV file or maybe something for your website, any type of file you can very easily create with this tool. And a lot of people might use this tool as, I need a file that has these 5 bits of information, and just create it. It's really not a report, it's just a file that you need to send somebody. Now, another thing you can do within your reports is you can actually search. So, you can actually look for, keywords in the report. So if you're searching for a certain type of journal entry, you can search and find it. Another thing, you can add watermarks to your reports. So once again, this kind of gives you a feel for a report that you can create that has a drill down in it. Now, let's look at another example. Here's one that we produced a report more graphical. So instead of just looking at numbers on budget versus actual, you want to graphically display it. And here's an example where we use this tool to do that. Okay, so here's the example. City of Progress, it's budget versus actual, and I've got departments, I've got year-to-date budget, I've got year-to-date actual, and as you move down the report, I can visually see the difference, or other types of charts and graphs. So I've seen clients, use this where they've got the numbers and at the bottom they've got charts. But once again, this tool, you can add that to reports that you create. So these are great for boards. They can visually see the information. A lot of times they like to look at graphics instead. Now, the next report I'm going to show you that we've used this tool to create is our standard statement of revenues and expenditures. So you have this today, but in this example, it's a pretty complex report, and we use this tool to create it. And so, this would be one you might want to modify. It keeps the original, but you can modify. Maybe you want to add another column of information or something else. One thing that they did to this report that I like is they added where if anything is over budget, it's in red. So it kind of jumps out at you visually that, this is in red. But like I said, we built this report just like the statement of revenues that we currently have on the financial side, but it's in the report designer that you can modify, but just wanted to give you an idea of you can do some pretty complex reports. Now, the next thing I want to show you is an example where you might want to change the utility bill format. So we actually use this tool to create a utility bill. I can remember what dates they have this for, but it's essentially the laser statement format that we have, so that where you may want to have charts and graphs and barcodes. So we modeled this after our laser. But like I said, if you've always wanted to change it, this tool can be used in utilities to create your own utility statement, or same thing may be true for AR, so you can do forms as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. Let's take a look at how you would use this to create a new report. So let's go in and let's add one. Okay, it's going to be a new one. Remember, copy from an existing one and make some tweaks. And I'm going to call this Payroll Webinar June 6th. Okay, I'm probably going to want to describe what's in here, so you can put a description because you may have a lot. Then the next thing you can decide, well, what are you reporting on? Which product? So the products that you have a license for, you're going to have a drop down here that you can pick and choose which product. So I'm going to say payroll. And then depending on how you want to go at the data, each has a couple different options. Now, I'm going to go at employee because there's all that employee data. I could also look at it by specific payroll runs. And once again, if you don't have security, you're not going to be able to get to that data. So it is locked down. We know who has that. So once you bring up the screen, you're essentially going to get a blank slate. And so you can paint your picture. Okay, so here it is. The key thing that we've done for you is we have provided you with all of those data fields that are in the payroll product. If you can see it, we have it. Even things on, deductions, benefits, pay types, vacation information. So anything that we're tracking on the employee, you now have access to. So if I'm thinking about a report, probably the first thing that you might want to do is give it a name. I might want to put, so if I move this picture box here, I could upload and put my logo. So it's a matter of, you've got that logo on your hard drive, you just scan it up. Now, you're probably going to want to have a name of the report. So I'm going to move label over here where I could say, payroll. Let's see here. But what's nice is you've got access to different fonts, different sizes. It's not just the same font. So if you've got a certain font you like, it's like Word. I can center it, I can move it to the left. So, it's like being able to, do a Word document. So, like I said, you could do that. The important part of the report is what do you want in the report? And so this is where, like I said, we've simplified this so that we've given you access to all of your data fields. So I might want to create a report that has, let's go ahead and do one that has the name of the employee. So I can move that here. And, maybe on this report, I may want their email address. I might want to know their classification, might even want to know their department. And then I can come up here and maybe I want to know something like, year-to-date gross. And that could be a report. You can have multiple, I could grab 5 or 6 things and bring them all over at once. Now, granted, if I ran this report, it wouldn't be that pretty because it would just have data and I really wouldn't have names of columns. So I would probably want to come over here and say, let's go ahead and say this is name. And over here, I might want to say, this is email address. And then I might have one here for, in this case, EEO. And then department. And I can bold things and, pretty it up. Let's go ahead. And then I could come over here and have, year-to-date gross. Okay, so if I wanted to see what that looked like, I could print preview it, and it's going to bring back that report. So, granted, like I said, that was pretty simple. I would probably want to maybe bold the heading. There's lots of things you can do. Or I may want to go down here and I may want to have like a subtotal because I've got a lot of employees on, department. But like I said, and I've had no training, so I'm just like dragging and dropping to create these fields. But now if you go over here to the left-hand side, here's where, you can start doing more complex things like, you might have a report that, you've got a dollar amount and you want to know what makes up that total. You could add drill down. You can add tables to your reports. You can even have barcodes on your reports. Maybe you're doing something with fixed assets and you want to have a barcode or charts or sparkle lines or pivot grids. Like I said, you can get extremely fancy, and part of the training is, teaching you how to use these tools. But if you need just a quick little simple file, I could do this and go to Excel and it's a clean file. But like I said, the key thing is, we're giving you access to all of those data fields. Now, I know I've got several utility folks on the line, and so just wanted to show you if I wanted to do UB report, all those UB fields that we have available that you've seen and you've always wanted to do a report on them. So we're going to come down here and do utility billing. And once again, how do you want to go at the data? I'm going to go at it by the account. I need some information on the account, and then I'll say okay. You can't hurt anything. We're just creating reports and queries. But the key thing is, everything that you've seen in your utility database, I can see here. Actions, balances, and you can expand out, aging balances, billing history, where I've got all that information, payments, deposits, transactions, owner status. I've talked to some customers that they may want to use a source to do robocalls and they need an Excel file with, the customer's phone number and, maybe the balance, to feed to one of those systems. Or maybe, you want to use this to do you've got a tool like MailChimp that can do email marketing. You want to put together a newsletter and email it to everybody. It just gives you an easy way to get that data out. But the key thing I want to point out is we've simplified it by giving you literally all of those data fields in the utility. Same thing when you get into tax billing, you've got the ability to access those and then create complex reports. So you can, once you're done, if it's one that, you want to delete, I can delete that, like this utility one. I didn't do a whole lot to it, so I can come down here and delete it. Now, you can also, if, somebody accidentally deletes one that they shouldn't have, the administrator can recover that. But like I said, most of them, like if there's something that we're working with you to create a report, we can add it to your menu. So if we do something custom or help you out with that. But like I said, this tool, I think, gives you the ability. So if you've got those inquiries or if you've got those reports you need, we're going to give you an easy way to access your data to create those. And it's very similar if you've used a tool like Crystal. But like I said, our training that we provide so that we can teach you how to use it, you would only need one go live, because once you learn how to use it, it's going to work the same for financials, billing, tax, if you've got all three of those products. So what I wanted to do is I want to open it up. See, I'm going to unmute. So if there are any questions on anything you've seen today, let me know, or, any kind of feedback, or if you want a quote, you can just email me and we can do that. But I think this will help you get that information that maybe you're getting requested from your constituents or your boss.
Like it's 11:20 up there.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, it's Susan. I've got a question.
Sure,
when we're generating these reports, is it possible to do like a year to year comparison from the general ledger?
Yeah, because that data's there. I mean, because you're going to, like, your history and that data, because we have the information. Like if you looked up in the financial system, you can go back to previous years. So
exactly,
this report will give you access to that.
Okay, because that's what I was just curious if I could go back, like do a 3 to 5 year comparison, for example, because right now all you do is pull each individual one off and then have to stick it together, which is very time consuming.
Exactly, but we have the history. So, and I know sometimes you kind of run out of real estate, but you might do it for just like a file, an Excel file, where you don't ever run out of real estate, just to create that file.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, and like I said, I did a really simple one, but, I'm just dragging and dropping and kind of hunting and pecking. But, you go through the training and you'll be able to do other ones. Or like I said, you may decide, hey, I've got this tool, but I want this one. We can give you a quote to use this tool to do it for you. And it's like I said, it'll be cheaper than us doing a custom report, but you'll have access to it.
Then you just go and click on it.
Any other questions from anybody on the line?
Lisa?
Any feedback?
Lisa?
Yes.
In property tax, will you be able to get information from the master directory and land management also?
Yes, that'll be covered, because you have to have that. A big part of tax is master directory land management, so that is part of that. And I think I was even talking with somebody where, they wanted to be able to pull, by this master directory, bring in all their balances. And that might cross, AR and UB, but there's a way you can do. I mean, that's definitely a more complex report, but the key is that master directory name, that person.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
Might be able to got a pad of paper.
Does it look like something you can kind of jump in and start using? Oh, here I've got a little chat. Let's see what the chat is. Is it possible to provide consumption history for all UB customers within the current billing review? We definitely have the consumption, and so it would be a matter of putting together a report that has that together. I know a lot of it, we've got that today, that I could do, a consumption for a date range, but the data is there, and we do give you access to those consumption fields. So yes.
But you could also create one, give them a tip.
Any other questions?
If we purchase this module, are there any pre-generated reports for examples to start with, or no?
Yes, that's a great question. We do for most of the, for most of the areas like, GL and AP and tax, there are reports, and we'll be adding more that you can modify. Like, these ones that I gave you, these are shipped with it. I mean, so those are ones I like to show to give you an idea of what you can do. But yeah, pretty much all the reports you see on my list here are shipped with it, and we'll be adding more, but you can modify those and change them.
Okay, and we can still generate our own, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're going to use this primarily to do your own. And who knows, at some point, maybe we have some sort of repository where, kind of a group that you all want to share all your reports, so there may be something like that down the line. But yeah, we're going to ship it with reports that you can change or just run. But I think you're going to use it to create your own.
Okay.
Sorry, is there an opportunity to have a trial run with it before purchasing?
I don't really have, because once those serial numbers are there, they're kind of out there in the system. But like I said, I think you'll find, maybe you start with one, like one area and see if it'll do the job, because it's less than our typical module. And like I said, the financials covers all those: payroll, GL, AP. So we tried to price it, pretty affordable so that you can kind of get your toes wet and try it. Without,
and what was the cost of it again? I missed that part of the meeting.
Okay, yeah. US, it's $295 for, one of the designers, and Canada, it's $495. We need one. So, I mean, like one in financial, we have it for each area: financials, utility, and tax. So if you had all, you would want three. But one license, multiple people can use it. It's like a site license for the financials, or it's a site license for utility. So if you've got those multiple users, in tax as well.
Great.
And then there is a training component. It's a go live that it's several sessions that together with you, we work with you on, okay, here's the navigation, here's how you create a simple, so that you can, get trained on how to use it.
And how much is that?
I believe the go live in the US is $450, and in Canada it's $600. But like I said, you can play with it and kind of see, but I would recommend it if you are looking to kind of budget for that and have multiple people listen in on it,
That go live training, is that a one-time fee, or is that each time you need to use it? One time?
That's a one-time. Yeah, just so once you're trained, if I get just one, that training is going to work on all. It covers the way you do a utility report is the same way you're going to do a report in payroll.
But you've always got access to it then.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and it's with a live trainer. So it is. So you might want to, maybe they could record that so you could always go back to it. So that's something we could definitely do. And if we have a lot that sign up, we may reduce that where we do more of a group setting, so that price would come down. So if I hear everybody's like, I want it and I want train now, and we don't have the capacity to do that, we would look at, doing kind of like what I'm doing, but obviously with a trainer, going through detailed steps on how to use it. And I really think we'll probably do that, because I've had a lot of people very interested in this. Any other questions? But I will, I'm recording this, so I can send out a link after this. So, you've got access if you, kind of want to watch it again and see things. But if you do want pricing, just let me know and I'll have your sales reps get it to you.
Sorry, with the license fee, that's just the one-time fee, and then we would have our yearly maintenance fee?
Exactly. Like I think it's like, $89 in the US, $149 in Canada, but that's support. As we add new things, you get those automatically. And then the training is just one time. License fee is one time, and training is one time if you do that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate your time today, and thank you. And hopefully you liked what you saw today.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.